Hey everybody, this is Shane Mata coming to you with another video about the crypto.org, the CRO token, CRO, and some differences from the last time I was doing videos a couple of years ago. A lot of things have changed since then. The big difference between then and now is that back then we only had 10 million users on the crypto.com platform. And today, the platform has about 80 million users worldwide. So that is a big difference as far as the tokenomics for the CRO coin. Another thing is, back then, CRO was a token on the Ethereum network, and it is now its own blockchain. So we have the Kronos blockchain plus the crypto.org blockchain. I still don't understand how that works out, but in any case, there is a difference between those two, but the overall number of coins available is still the same. We have about a total of 30 billion CRO coins total. About 25 billion of those are in the market. And of course, there's no telling how many are liquid. And I'm sure there's stats somewhere, but I haven't looked those up yet today. So if we looked at the numbers back then, with 10 million users, we were looking at about 3,000 tokens per person allocation. So if you run the numbers again today, based on 30 billion CRO tokens, we're looking at about 375 tokens per person, per user, and about 312 tokens per user if you're basing it off of the 25 billion that are liquid, that are out in the market. The other 5 billion are locked up, for rewards for developers and all that sort of thing, for incentives. So 312 is not a lot of tokens per user. That's nothing. So that tells us actually a lot of things and a lot of wrong assumptions. Oh, but before we go into the assumptions, let me tell you a little bit also about the changes. So back then, you had to have so many tokens staked to be able to qualify for a card. For example, if you wanted to get the ruby red card, for example, you had to stake so many tokens, and if you wanted the indigo or the green, you had to stake so many more tokens. So when the price started going up, people started complaining about the price is too high, blah blah blah. So then they changed it to dollar values. So now it's $400 for the ruby red, and it's $4,000 for the jade green or indigo, and 40,000 for the icy white or rose gold, and 400,000 for the obsidian. That is an insane amount of, and despite that, there are people who have the obsidian card, right? So that is one difference from back then, is how you do your staking. So now going into the tokenomics of that, or the assumptions. So the assumption that I had when talking about the tokenomics before was that more people would be interested in staking for the card. So based on the number of 312 tokens per user, that's not happening. It seems like the majority of the crypto.com users, of the 80 million users, have no interest in the CRO token whatsoever. If they're getting any in rewards, they're selling it right away. They're not staking it, they're not holding it. They're basically on the crypto.com platform to trade, or to buy and sell crypto, or to buy it and use it for making payments or whatever. The CRO token to them is not really anything of significance or of major value. So that was one mistake that I made in my assumptions for the tokenomics of the CRO coin. Another one is that people will hold. People won't hodl forever. Once the price started coming down, people started selling, which started, a cascade of selling pressure. And those of us who had CRO in DeFi were subject to what you would call cascading liquidations. We got wiped out because, having made, or in my case, what I did was I used my stake, or what I had put into DeFi, to pay my taxes. And so the price kept dropping faster than I could pay back the loan. And so I wound up getting liquidated. So I lost a lot of CRO in that. But that resulted because a lot of people were selling their CRO coin. They weren't holding on to it. So Another assumption was that people would buy the CRO coin and will hodl it, and that's not happening. And so I am not going to trust that people will hodl their coins, so I won't put myself in that position of getting liquidated again. I'll be more responsible with my borrowing the next time around. The next one is, well, I wasn't counting on liquidations either, so that's another thing that wipes out, you know, once those liquidations start on the price coming down, it just feeds on itself, and until, you know, everybody's wiped out. Changing to the dollar amount also changed it, because when you had a amount of tokens that you had to have to get a card, you would count on those tokens being locked up. But now with the dollar value, if the price goes up, then you can sell off the excess tokens and only have the dollar value locked up to maintain that card. So that's also changing the dynamics, because it means that there's no mechanism to keep the CRO token locked up. And I think now another thing that's changed is in the UK, it's going to be based on staking and not necessarily within your wallet having it locked up on the card. So that even that's going to be changing. And I'm guessing that's due to regulatory requirements. Because as we know, Crypto.com is first and foremost very interested in compliance. That's their focus, and that's how they intend to stay in business in the long term, is compliance, compliance, compliance. So with that in mind, you know, they've had to eat a lot of crow, no pun intended, from making changes that they didn't want to do. Like, for example, when they got rid of the MCO coin and switched this all over to the CRO, that was because they saw where the regulatory environment was going, and if they had maintained the MCO, then they would have been subject to having sold securities. And so that's why they've also separated the CRO coin to its own separate organization, where they don't control it, you know, not directly at least. I don't know what the mechanics are there, but whenever you see burns or whatever, it's not Crypto.com that's doing it, it's Crypto.org that's doing it. And so from a legal perspective, it makes a big difference. Well, another thing that changed was back then is, or my assumption was, that we would reach $1. We didn't. We were short of $1. Potentially we might reach $1 again this time. You know, I'm looking at a 20x return, but that's because I was buying at 4 cents. So 20x of, you know, 20 times 4 is 80. So if I reach 80 cents, I'm fine with that. That's a good return. But I'm not going to sell. I'm going to be holding it all the way up and all the way down. So with that in mind, I am still optimistic. I'm bullish on the Crypto.org chain, the CRO coin, because we know that everything I just told you, people aren't holding it. People get excited, they buy it up. You know, we know it's going to rise up, and then as soon as the bull market is over, it's going to drop again. So this level of volatility, actually, if you know that people are going to do this, then that volatility, it can be profitable. So right now, at some point, maybe around 30, 40 cents, maybe 50 cents, I might stop buying CRO entirely, let it top, let it come back down, and then start the cycle all over and just build up and build up. For me, what is of value is the DeFi having credit. That's more valuable to me than actually selling it and taking a profit, because I used the credit to do other things. So that's what, that volatility is actually what's making me bullish on the CRO coin. So knowing that it's going to go up 20x and then come back down, maybe the next time when it does come down, it'll only come down to 10 cents, you know, instead of 4 cents. But I can work with that, you know. Not just knowing the bus schedule helps you when you're going to be thrown under the bus, is the way I see it. So just enjoy the ride, and if you can profit, take a profit. If you're into that, I might take a profit. I'm not sure yet. Taxes are always a concern for me, and that's why lending or borrowing is always a better option for me. Bitcoin, I think, is still probably a better bet. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I think Solana will be a good bet this crypto bull market, as far as trading or whatever, or even long term, to hodl for the long term. I think if I hold Bitcoin for the long term, I'll be better off than trading it. But that's a discussion for another, or that's a topic for another time. So there's my take on the tokenomics for the CRO coin. for this upcoming 2024 bull market. Thanks for watching.